everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome to the Let's Get Naked podcast, where we dive deep into vulnerability. In this space, we'll explore what triggers us, uncover the patterns holding us back, and take charge of our own growth. If you're ready to dig in, be vulnerable, and face the tough stuff, then buckle up. It's time to get naked. Today, we're talking about the quiet kind of savage that's killing you inch by inch. It's not what someone else does to you. It's what you let happen after your body already said no. That moment when your stomach drops, your chest tightens, your intuition is damn near screaming, and you override it. You smile, you stay, you go along. Why? Because you don't want to be awkward, you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, you don't want to make a scene. So instead, you abandon yourself. We've been trained to be so damn agreeable that we will betray our own body just to keep the peace. You will keep the peace out there while creating a full-blown war in here. And then you wonder why you feel disconnected, resentful, numb. It's because every time you ignore that internal no, you teach yourself that your voice doesn't matter, that your body doesn't get a vote, that other people's comfort comes before your safety. And you know what? We're not doing that anymore. Your body is not confused. Your intuition is not dramatic. That hesitation, that tension, that pull, that's data. That's truth. And if you keep overriding it, don't be surprised when you don't recognize yourself anymore. Because the fastest way to lose yourself is to keep choosing everyone else over your own damn knowing. Let's get into it. Today, I'm stripping it all off again with my friend Jill McMahon.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Wow, what a topic today, girl.
Yeah. Thank you for being willing to come have this conversation with me. So for those watching and listening, I invited Jill to have breakfast with me a couple weeks ago, and I said, Jill, I want to discuss this topic with someone, and it's really heavy. And she agreed almost immediately and said, let's not talk about it. Let's just talk about it on the couch. And I said, you know what? I respect the hell out of that. And so we haven't had much conversation about this other than just to share with her that this is where I was going today. And, and we're going to get into it. So,
I'm not surprised that you take the hard topics.
Yeah.
And I love that about you. That's what is important about your platform, girl.
I think so too. So the self-betrayal thing has been coming up for me in lots of stuff that I have done with therapy over the years, and I never had terminology for it. And as I have continued to explore more and more about kind of how I'm feeling, what those things felt like, for me, I spent a lot of years numbing and pushing stuff down. As I've gone down my journey, these things come up. Like I didn't have a memory for a long time. Cameron was always joking about like my 5-year dump, he would call it, because I only could remember back about 5 years. And as I started pulling on that proverbial yarn that was hanging off the sweater and unraveling who Ann is and what all went into there, all of these things come up all the time. Certain things make me feel a certain type of way and stuff comes up. Other things make me feel a memory about something or a smell, and a memory will come back. And not only do I get to remember it here, but I get to feel it here because I never felt it here when it was happening. I just pushed it down. I'm strong. I can get through this. When you're in constant survival mode, you don't have time to process or to feel the feels of anything, especially when you think they're messy and you're not willing to do that. So that self-betrayal for me is so layered and something that I haven't even really unpacked anywhere. So thank you for being here.
Oh, yay.
I know.
I feel very trusted right now.
Yeah.
I feel a little chosen.
Yeah.
I feel trusted and I'm honored. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Can I comment on something that you just said?
Please do.
You said so it's not uncommon for adults to have traumatic moments or years in their lives that are completely blacked out. As a therapist, I've had many a client come into my office, I want to say 45 to 65 years old, and they will say, for some reason, I can't remember ages 5 to 11. It's completely dark. It's black. It doesn't make sense to me. It's your brain's way of protecting you. But to come back to what you just said, you said, so now as I'm pulling that proverbial yarn and it's all kind of unraveling, because you're healthy enough and safe enough to do that, you said, I get to feel it here and I get to feel it here in my body. And that stood out to me, Anne, because most people would have said, I have to feel it here. I don't have a choice. I can't push it away. It just happens to me. That is not what you just said, girl.
Is that what I feel?
Right.
Yeah.
I get to feel it and I get to feel it. And that's tells me a lot about where you are as a healed woman, that you realize that feeling it is really an important way of regaining control. You're not trying to push it down anymore, girl. And I don't even know what you're about to tell me. I have no idea what she's about to tell me. That in and of itself, though, is such a feat. And so I just wanted to acknowledge it. You're not pushing it down.
No.
Don't push it down.
No.
Please don't push it down.
I thank you for saying that. And I believe that to my core, that I have an incredible story and I'm honored to unpack it every time it comes up. I have figured out how to operate within these four walls of everything that I have, and feeling into the things that happened to younger versions of me and the stuff that I did just to get through it. And I use my mess as my message. It's what has me here, and I've got a lot. There's a lot of stuff in there, not in there anymore, I would say. Like, I've spent almost a decade working on myself. So it has gotten me to this place where I am honored when things come up. But I did have that. I had where my childhood home from when I was born to when I was 9, I don't remember.
Wow.
I had where most of when I moved to when I was 9 to when I moved out of my parents' house when I was 16, I didn't remember there either. And as I have started to not push things down and allow things to come up, it almost feels like the screen just keeps kind of opening more and more, and things just come up, and it's never at convenient times.
Oh, of course not.
And that's okay, because I have made a commitment to myself that I know how much better I feel as I process these things. And so if something triggers something, if something makes me feel a certain type of way, if I feel like I need to cry, I just allow that to happen because my body wants that shit out, and I know that. And the more that I let it out, it just feels like a gift to me.
That is self-love, my dear.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what all of that is about. You've worked the last decade to love yourself enough to allow this.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. And I think it's really powerful work, because it's like I spent so much time trying to focus on other people. And then I realized when I do it in here, it all just falls into place in such a beautiful way. So now that I know that, it's like I literally feel like I figured out the cheat codes in life, which is what has me on this platform doing the things that I'm doing, because I just think we need more people that are willing to heal at full volume.
Oh, yeah.
So that other people can look and say, God, that's messy. And also I see the relief. I see, all of the good that comes from it, because the less gunk that I'm carrying around, the less invisible weight that I'm carrying around, the better that I get to be for myself and my tribe.
Well, and you're setting a model for your peers, right? So, God, that's messy, but I still love her. She's still cool. I still want to hang out with her.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit, I'm messy too. So if I deal with my mess, people might still love me. They're not going to think that I'm a different version of Jill. They're not going to think that I'm ugly. They're right. Like, people can still love me and value me, even though I'm messy. You're setting that example. So I love it.
It's power.
respect it.
It's powerful work. For me, it's like I have 2 daughters and a son that motivate me to sit on this couch and do this, because I have healed in front of them at full volume, which is why I have such great relationships with them and continue to work through stuff with them, because that was really messy too. The old version of Anne was the unhealed version, and I don't think that you get to where I am healed now, but I will definitely say I'm a lot closer now than with all of the work that I've done. But that's what motivates me to do this, right? Or my nieces and my nephew and everything that goes into that. Like, that's really important stuff to me, to be able to show them and to model that behavior for them, because I don't want them to ever feel like they need to push their stuff down. We're meant to talk about things.
Well, it
We're
wasn't
meant to
modeled
feel
for
things.
us.
It wasn't modeled for us,
Yeah.
which is just part of the story,
Yeah.
but also not an excuse of why we don't.
Agreed.
And so I think a
100%.
lot of people bleed on people that didn't cut them, and then use the excuse of, well, that's just what happened to me. And it's like, I get it, but we're adults.
Agreed.
And we have nothing but resources.
Agreed.
And I won't come from this place of excuses
We're
in
far
my
more
life.
evolved.
We
far
are.
more evolved.
We are. And so to be able to, I think it just takes an aha moment for someone to really go, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm willing to do the work. Because when you do the work, when you agree with yourself to do that work, and you make that commitment to yourself, you have to go all in. You have to go all in, because it's not a, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Or if you try to do it that way, it's not really, you're not getting
try it
everything.
that way.
People do,
I'm like,
I guess.
people try it that way.
I guess maybe I'm out of touch with things for that, because I'm a cannonballer, right?
You're an all-in
Yeah,
girl.
I'm an all-in girl.
Let's clarify.
Yeah.
You're an all-in
Fair.
girl, right? I'd
Fair.
rather somebody have 1 foot in and 1 foot out
Than
than
not at all.
both feet out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just prolongs the journey if you don't cannonball all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that whole, the buffalo analogy about, do you know this?
No, tell
okay,
me.
so there's this analogy or whatever about the buffalo, and it's talking about, a storm is coming, and the cows in the herd will run away from the storm, and what ends up happening is that they're in the storm longer. And the buffalo runs towards the storm, and by doing that, he gets to the clear skies faster, and the green grass and the cool air, and like all of these things. And so in my life, I'm the buffalo, right? And I encourage other people to do that too, because it's like, you can go ahead and pussyfoot around stuff all you want, but there's no quality of life in just continuing to stuff things down and numb on top of it. We've figured things out. We understand the physics and the science and all of the different things that go into it. It's like, then do something about it, instead of just being bullheaded and saying, I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine. I spent decades of my life doing that. And now I'm, 8, 9, 10 years into this journey. And the more I do, the better my life gets. And it's that you can't argue with that.
It's easier to keep going down that road when you are seeing the benefits, right? When you are feeling the benefits. And by the way, that was such a country girl analogy.
I know. I'm from South Dakota, y'all.
I don't know the buffalo in the storm.
I know.
What? I'm like, oh, country girl analogy.
Oh my
I
God.
loved it.
I said something the other day about shitting in tall cotton, and my bestie goes, I know, my bestie goes, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, do people not know what I'm talking about? She's like, no. And so, apparently there's a lot of things that I say that are like just
love it.
outrageous.
I
and
love
also I do it anyways.
Yep.
Yeah. So the self-betrayal thing for me, it keeps bringing things up, because I feel like I personally was raised in organized religion, Catholicism for the first probably 10, 12 years. And then my folks switched to a brand of Christianity that I don't agree with. Also, that's their choice. Living at home, it was, if you live under our house, you live under our rules. And shit got weird. And so that was not for me. I rebelled against that. It literally felt against every molecule of my being like the wrong thing. I was the one that was like, nobody else can see that the emperor's not wearing any clothes, So for me, I don't subscribe to organized religion. I think everyone can do whatever they want. I stay very much in my lane about that, but I am very opinionated, because I realize the damage that is done in that. Raising children to be the good girl and the good boy is very dangerous.
Agreed.
And what ends up happening, or what has ended up happening in my story, is a lot of sexual trauma. And a lot of trauma where I kept my mouth shut.
To be the good girl?
To be the good girl, to keep the peace, to make certain that everybody was comfortable. And inside, when your body is going, make this stop, make this stop, make this stop, and you override that, to me, that feels like death. You literally disassociate with your body, and I understand the concept of all of that.
Good way to put it.
And that's hard damage to come back from. Right? And so it's like parents that think that they're raising their children in this right way understand that this is what that looks like, of raising the good girl and the good boy to not speak up, is then we don't speak up. not only when it happens in the instances where it did, but also after the
course
fact,
not.
because that's
Right.
not something that my parents even knew about. I ended up having to have a conversation with them before I released the first episode of this podcast, which was a year and a half ago. In the first episode, I came out swinging and talking about sexual abuse as a child and all of the
Really?
things. Yes. And I went and talked to my son, and I went and talked to my daughters, and I went and talked to my folks. And I just said, oh my God, my voice is going to shake when I say it, because having that conversation with your dad is rough.
Right.
You know, of Dad, there's a lot of stuff, and you don't have to listen. I don't want anybody to do anything they don't necessarily want to, but I say things in this that are hard to hear, because all of the things that happened, you can imagine every fucked up thing that's happened, and the only thing that hasn't happened to me is like a violent rape. Literally everything else. I can go down the list. Yep. Stuff that I perpetuated myself, because as a teenager, then I put myself into dangerous situations and had a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol, because that numbing felt so good to me. It felt like coming home, right? Because then I didn't have to think about all of those things that started happening when I was 7 years old.
Well, because home didn't feel safe to you, right?
It didn't.
And I'm not getting into family
No, of
systems. I
course.
don't know any more of
Of
the
course.
story, but for many different reasons, yes, it numbed.
Yeah.
Yes, it put tragedy and trauma in the back. It put euphoria in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And if home wasn't safe, you needed to create your own home, girl.
Yeah. And
Right?
so that's exactly what I did
Wow.
with alcohol and with,
At what age do you think you started numbing?
13. I had a really robust relationship with alcohol and drugs when I was younger.
Okay.
And just, you don't need to feel any of it. You just push it on down,
Right.
right? Which is why then you go back and you try to remember that. And it's like, why can't I remember my childhood home? Like, I can't remember any of it. I went back there several years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and I went in and I went down to the basement where my bedroom was, and it was just like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
Yeah.
I literally just, get the fuck out of here. That's screaming. I had to leave. I couldn't even stay in there as a grown ass woman in her 40s. I'm like, get out now.
I am never, ever surprised about how loud and vocal the body is.
Oh, even when I was talking to you, my body is just literally ding, ding, ding. I have
were you
energy.
getting tension?
Yes. My body is lit up with energy right now as I was
Fireworks.
talking to you.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
releasing stuff, because I'm not pushing it down.
No.
I'm not going to pretend like stuff didn't happen.
But I also don't want you to be numb to it. So there's
No.
there's a finite detail that I think is important to kind of delineate and explain. You know, having explosive feelings in your body or tingling or sensations and not crying or screaming or yelling across the couch at me right now does not mean you're pushing it down.
Right.
It means I feel it, I acknowledge it, I'm not going to ignore it. I know it's there. Hi, I know you're there. I feel you. And now I understand where you're coming from. I know why you're here, and I'm going to take care of you.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's different.
Yeah.
And, I think I loved your intro so much, girl, because I think that it brings to the forefront the value of listening to our bodies. That's what stood out of your intro to me, was when your body is screaming no, but your brain is overriding it. We need to stop doing that.
Yeah. Listen to your body.
But our culture does not support that.
Right.
Right? And this isn't our parents' generation. This is the many generations before that are pull yourself up by your bootstraps. May I find the man that came up with that term.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. I get tenacity. I get push. I get drive. You and I both do on this couch. That is one of probably the characteristics that unite us. However, that mentality that we have told young boys in particular from the beginning of time is only killing their character, their true sense of self. It's don't listen to the body. The body's weak. Don't listen to the body. I need you to push through it. I need you to do it anyway. I know that your friends told you that, this is what you should do, but your brain is telling you probably not a good idea. But you want to socially fit in. You can do it. You can do it. Just deep breath. Go slash the tires. Go slash the tires. It's fine. How bad do you want it? Do you want it? those weren't the intentions of that phrase when that phrase was first born. But there are 100 different ideations of that, Anne, and you know there are.
Yeah.
Of don't listen to your brain. Sorry, of don't listen to your
Body.
body.
Yep.
I want your brain to push through.
And then the brain is all of the conditioning and the stuff, the programming, where it's just like you're taught to do that. As men also, it's girls and boys too, but don't be a pussy, rub some dirt on it, like whatever. And I look at this, this is why I had such a hard time when my son was playing football and there's all these dads on the field and they're screaming and they're crazy and whatever. I'm like, you're a future therapy bill. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? But you can just see it. Once you kind of start leveling up in life, you can just see patterns and things that happen. And to me, it's so comical because it's just like,
so I think everybody knows that we're in Arizona,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you just totally struck a nerve with me.
Yeah.
The two-a-days in Pee Wee football from ages like 8 to 18 would bring alive the inner lioness inside of me.
Yep.
I mean, I was besides myself. It is July and August at 110 and 15 degrees in Arizona, and we're having kids practice twice a day to the point where they puke on the sidelines, and all the coaches are going like, rite of passage, get back in there, get some Gatorade, get back in, right? And so again, there are hundreds, if not thousands of messages that we are sending, particularly to young boys, but to young girls as well. And when you were talking, I was thinking, okay, so what about young girls, right? To me, the messaging that I see in middle school and high school girls is messaging from society, messaging from culture, get his attention. Get his attention. You are not your full worthy self until you get his attention. And so do what you got to do to get his attention. Wear the shorts.
do we even call them shorts anymore? Because
No.
call me old-fashioned, but
Wear the loincloth.
call me old-fashioned, but I think a girl's short should be longer than her vagina. That's just where I come from, but apparently that's not a thing anymore. That's not the style anymore. Shorts should be shorter than your vagina.
I see a lot of ass cheeks when I'm at Safeway.
I see a lot
I
of
see a lot of
everything.
ass cheeks at Safeway.
And I don't want to be, I don't want to be the old lady who's like, oh my God, so please, girls, do whatever you want to. But do that because that makes you happy, not because you're getting the attention.
Okay, so that's where let's go back to that,
Yeah.
right? And so it's just different messages of what we value.
Yeah.
We value a strong boy that has control over his mind. I want you to do better. I want you to be better. I want you to be the captain of the team. I don't want you just to be a good teammate. I want you to set an example for everybody else. And for young girls, messaging is everywhere, and it's everywhere. It's generally not coming from mom because we're saying cover up, value yourself. But we're 1 out of 100 messages. The other 99 are Instagram, their girlfriends, every single television and magazine commercial, you turn the page. It's tiny waist, boobs coming out, big lips, and there's always a hot guy that's turning his head to look at her as she walks by.
Yeah.
It's not the mediocre guy.
No.
It's not the guy with the dad bod,
Right.
right? And vice versa. We're sending those same images from very early on to young boys who don't then value the bookworm or the girl who's just, let's be honest, fucking nice.
Right.
Like
right.
the girl who's just rad.
The kind girl who has
who's well-rounded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're sending these what we value messages out to our kids from day one.
Right.
And that's what I think is ruling the mind and quieting the body.
Well, I think that's where that self-betrayal comes in.
Yes,
I mean, it's just a
yes.
breeding ground for that because, whether it's whatever the conditioning is or whatever the messages that we're sending out to people or whatever, you're taking that and your body's going, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. And your mind goes, yes, it is, yes, it is, yes, it is, because you're getting your dopamine hits by looking at somebody that's, exactly what you said, this skinny waist and big boobs and like all of this effort that goes into it and the filters and the filters and the filters. How do you even...
How many likes did I get from my bikini shot last week? I got 350. Not me,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen.
love
Just so
Jill
we're
so
clear
much.
there.
Just so we're
Not
clear,
this girl.
Jill and I are not posting bikini
Woo!
pics. Yeah.
But if you're 13, 14, 15 years old, younger than that, and
Yeah,
younger than that.
scary.
I got
Scary.
325 likes last week. That shows me that is what people value.
May I just say something that's very unpopular right now? I believe that allowing.
What if I said no?
Okay, well, I'm going to say it anyways. Uh, I'd like to say, here's my name on the show. I don't even know, it's not here. I believe that getting children hooked into social media at that young of an age is child abuse. And I'm happy to just say that at full volume.
You go, girl.
Exactly. And also,
You go, girl.
we have data. We have the data points, right?
So much
You
data.
can go back and look and see when did we start shitting the bed? Let's just look at that from the standpoint of the comparison, all of the things, the anxiety, the suicide rate, the whatever. They can literally go back and tag that to when people, more than 50% started having smartphones and everybody started plugging into social.
2006.
Exactly. And everybody started plugging into social media. Everyone says, oh, we're doing that to stay connected. People have never been less connected in their entire lives. I highly encourage people to stay the hell off of social media all the way, and also do not give that to your children. If you want to raise boys and girls that are confident, that are capable, that are all the things, they should never have social media until they're adult enough to make that decision for themselves. Now, is that unpopular? Sure, because they're going to come to you and they're going to say, well, little Sally has social media and all of my friends have social media, and they're going to try to bully their parents. And what I will tell you is I don't get bullied in my own house, right?
Right.
Yeah, I encourage other
love
people.
that.
I encourage other
I
people to
love
do
that.
that. You're going to let your friends make the decision for what kind of children you raise because you're not strong enough to say, you know what, I get that, but I've done some research and I see that that's really terrible. So how about we get you a flip phone so that you can still communicate with people, right? You can still reach out, so in case of emergency, like all of the things, but you don't need all of those apps and those notifications that are going ping, 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 ping,
So
ping,
the number
ping.
of young girls that actually will tell you today that they want a flip phone
Yeah.
because they realize that they are deteriorating
Yep.
at the core. So, I mean, I know we're getting off track a
No,
little bit,
there's no
but
track.
I will say, I mean, I think it all correlates somewhat. All of the data's there. The tide is actually turning. So
Is it?
go Ann Carver.
Is it?
Yes, and I'm on it because I watch this stuff because I firmly believe in everything that you just said.
Yeah.
There's an amazing man, a professor from NYU, who came out with a book about 18 months ago. It's called The Anxious Generation. For some reason, you never know whose voice is going to be the one where people stop to listen. This has gained everybody's attention. So now we have a lot of schools, actually in the United States, but in Europe and Australia for sure, that have stopped allowing cell phones in schools. It's because of this book.
Yeah.
It's because of one book, Anne, which that's what I'm saying. Like the power of one instrument can actually make
believe that.
quite a difference. And now we're doing more and more studies. Now people are starting to put a lot of money into research and study, and they're all showing the findings that you've just stated. It all changed in 2006 when smartphones, came to life. But what I think is interesting in relationship to our topic today is that we are going to have this whole generation. The tide is turning now. Yeah. And so I think that the next generation of young mothers, I'm watching it in my personal life, they're not handing phones to their babies
Thank
anymore
God.
in their
Thank
car
God.
seats. They're not handing them phones at restaurants just to, keep their attention so that they can have mommy time. That's all shifting. There's always going to be tablets. There's always going to be laptops, all of those things. But we are going to have this 20-year generation that is going to be, I'm going to say, forever depressed in some ways. Differently. Their brains are just hardwired differently, right?
It's hard to get your head around.
So hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
And so, of that generation, the young girl that I was just talking about that wants the likes, so she's dressing differently, or the boys that, are just following every sports team that they can find, and because they want to talk to their bros about it later, or the stupid I said stupid, that was a judgment, or slapstick, like jackass type of comedy. That's not helping brain development. Right? And so we're talking about body betrayal, which has been going on for generations and generations. Then you add social media and the power that it has over the brain as well. So I would encourage everybody to see it. I just made my husband sit down and watch it yesterday. There's this great 2 or 3 minute video about Instagram. And so Instagram I know you do a great job of trying to stay away from media.
Yeah.
I love you for it.
Yeah.
Instagram was just sued, and probably about 6 months ago, there were change in restrictions of how they handle their platform. It needs to be safer. There needs to be different restrictions. And so what they did in the last week or two is compare the new restrictions and a young follower. So a gentleman set up an account as a 13-year-old girl on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that she followed as a 13-year-old girl were videos of kittens.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing she liked. It's the only images she followed. Within 1 week, 33% of her reels were mental health related. So her algorithm changed solely off of the fact that her profile said that she was a 13-year-old girl. This is with our new parameters. Within 2 weeks, 77%, after only liking kitten videos solely, was self-harm, anorexia, bikini photos within 2 weeks of setting up a profile on Instagram. Those kids are spending 10 to 14 hours a day staring at that screen that is molding their brain.
It's hard to get your head around. I actually
And
had
then we want them to listen to their
right,
bodies.
exactly. Right, exactly.
Right?
They don't even know. They're so disconnected from their
Yeah.
bodies. I was talking to a young person, and I was telling her about my husband, and I have this every week when they send out your screen time report.
Yeah.
And he and I look, and he's like, "Oh, I had 2.5 hours average, right?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, I had 3 hours, whatever," which is
Great. 2.5 hours? Go Cameron.
I know, seriously, right? And so he does that where we just now I'm trying to beat him, and so we have this whole thing. And so I was asking this young girl that was friends with one of my daughters, and I said, "How what's your screen time?" She goes, "I don't know. Let me look. 12 hours."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Sister, that's 12 hours. She's not an exception.
your day.
It is half the day, right?" And so it's like you wonder why you feel like shit, right? Because we have the data. The data's in. We know that doesn't breed anything good in any of our young people, no matter whether they're boys or girls. Then you start talking about the statistics and the things that you're talking about with 13-year-old girls and kittens and all of this stuff. These are billion-dollar algorithms. Your poor little brain doesn't stand a chance.
No.
Your poor child stands even less of a chance. And you give that kid that from a young age at 2 years old because you don't want them to cry, let them cry. Let them cry. We can all handle it, just so you know. We can all handle it.
Yep.
When you're in public, you don't have to shush them down and put a
Nope.
screen in front of them. I will maintain, and I will say it again at full volume, I believe that's child abuse. We have the data. The data is in. These young girls are depressed, are suicidal, and boys too, not young girls. I always go to young girls. I'm so sorry. It's a terrible thing that I do. Our young people are depressed, are suicidal. And if you have one of those kids in your house where you can see that at full volume, right? Used to have that in my house, understand exactly what that looks like, right? That's gut-wrenching. That's gut-wrenching, right? We're not raising capable young women and men.
So pause right there.
Yeah.
Because you went to the gut.
I know.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about how the body
Yeah.
responds.
Mhm.
So as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
if your body is talking to you, if your gut is talking to you, right, about this tool that we're paying for, that we've placed in their hands, listen.
Yeah.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
That's no different than the body betrayal that we started this hour with.
Absolutely.
It's a different scenario.
Sure.
But we're still talking about the body's messages.
Same.
So you just said earlier, like, I don't get bullied in my own house.
I don't.
And it just really struck me. We're not meant to be our children's friends.
We're not.
That's unpopular. That is unpopular.
Yeah.
My parents weren't my friends.
Right.
My parents didn't try to be my friends. They tried to be loving. They tried to provide, an education for me. They tried to provide guidance for me. And they did the best they could. Honestly, I was fortunate. I was very fortunate. But I never looked at my mom as my best friend.
No.
And so you and I can probably whisper in each other's ears 4 relationships or households that we know right now where the parent is the best friend of the child. And this is my unpopular opinion, scream from the rooftops. That's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
You're not creating a strong, independent person, as you were just saying, that is supposed to fly and leave and be able to make decisions on their own. Mm-hmm. So stop trying to be their friend by providing this tool that everybody else is having and teach them, model for them of listening to your gut, right? A different level of body betrayal, but body betrayal nonetheless.
Yeah.
Take me back to what you were saying earlier about young girls and men that put themselves in precarious situations but don't listen to their bodies screaming to get out.
Energy is everything, and most of us are spending it like drunk gamblers at a Vegas blackjack table. My book is built around one simple but powerful tool: quantifying your energy so you know exactly where it's going and how to get more of it back. Think of it as a manual for your soul's fuel tank. If you're tired of running on empty, this book will show you how to fill back up and keep yourself in the game long enough to actually win. Get your copy of the Life Hack Playbook on Amazon or on the podcast website, letsgetnakedpodcast.com. Like earlier on when I was talking
Physically.
about drinking and
Yeah.
being younger and drinking whatever. Yeah.
In the introduction, like I was really, you and I, as you said when we first started, we have not chatted about this. This was an idea at breakfast. We intentionally decided that we didn't want to take it any further at that point. But I was intrigued by, young people, because I think it's a problem, but I think we've done it forever.
We've done it forever, and it's patterns that we've modeled and then passed on, and things that we haven't healed. And so I've literally watched in my family the generations that just continue to pass this down, which is savage and terrible. All different things, different numbs of choice, different whatever, but all of the same. Because then when you do that, when you put yourself in those situations, then you blame yourself. So not only are you betraying yourself, but then you're holding yourself to a standard of accountability.
Oh, you put yourself in I'm going to say dangerous situation.
100%. Yeah. So let
feeling guilt about that.
Let me give you an example,
Okay.
and please.
I know. I'm like, clarify for me, please.
Here's a trigger warning for everyone listening. Maybe this is where you get real comfortable with the uncomfortable. I was a 15-year-old girl working at a place where there's old men that own the place, a little pizza shop. They were so inappropriate with what came out of their mouth and where they put their hands. It just bred. It just bred all over the place in that situation. I would go hang out with them outside of work, other people that they had, and like memories that come up are having, sex and other acts with men that were 15, 20 years older than me, but that I was drunk, completely drunk, and didn't stop it, consent with my mouth, but my body is screaming to make it stop. Now, I hold myself accountable to that because I put myself in that situation and I put the alcohol to my mouth. But then when that's happening, not that I initiated it, I'm the good girl and I'm not going to make that uncomfortable, right? I have situations where I'm not going to say that one because there's somebody else involved in that one, and I don't think
there's
that's
something I want to say about what you just
jump
shared.
in,
So
please.
I'm actually glad that you paused right there because I think what you just shared is enough.
Perfect. And also the other one has somebody else involved in it that's not mine to share. And look at that.
That's lovely.
That's
How mature is that?
Oh, fuck, God, where did that come
How
from?
mature is that?
Look at me,
Not
Belinda.
your story to share, so you're not going to share it. I got a lot of things,
Please,
girl.
let it rip.
You were 15. These men, I'm making an assumption, men, you said were 15 or 20 years older than you were. You were 15. So I hear you as a mature woman say to me, but I take responsibility and accountability for being there, putting alcohol to my lips and not saying no. And what's screaming in my body is you're 15. The brain is not fully developed in a young girl until she's 25 years old. I love the responsibility and accountability, but I hear a little bit of guilt. You were 15. It wasn't a 17-year-old boy
No,
that we're
for sure.
talking about. That's
No,
a
for
different
sure.
scenario
No,
to
for sure.
me.
And
And
that happened over and over again, that scenario.
with a peer,
Different people.
with a peer.
Well, yeah, but
Are you
peers
talking
and
with
older. Like
right?
I when I was 13, I got, or whatever age, I got in trouble for whatever, and I was doing
I got in
community
trouble for
service,
whatever.
fill in the
One of the
blank. I was
times.
one of the times I was a hell on wheels, and had to go do community service and at some military base, cleaning toilets or whatever the hell I'm doing. And of course, some older guy thinks I'm great. Now I'm hanging out with some 28-year-old as a 13 or 14-year-old girl and having shit happen with that. And again, don't make a mess. Don't make anybody else uncomfortable. So no one taught me in that situation that you use your voice and you say if you're in a position that you're uncomfortable with. So I just think I'm being this cute girl and then not wanting to make a fuss when things go south.
Well, certainly not when you're 13 or 15.
Right.
Again, because what are we taught when we're younger? Be a good girl. Be a good girl. And
be nice.
Adults are people of authority.
Of course.
You never disrespect an adult.
Yeah.
So when you are really, what I'm going to say, happened to be in, I'm not saying that you're put in those atmospheres, but when you happen to be in atmospheres with bad adults, disrespectful, harmful, unhealthy adults that would look at a 13-year-old or a 15-year-old, regardless of how you were dressed or how beautiful you were or how friendly you were. I've been friendly my whole life.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it wasn't until I was probably 40 years old that I realized how naive I was being, that men confuse friendliness for flirting.
Yes. They do. That's
I will
totally
talk to
true.
anybody.
That's true.
I don't care if you're 102 or if you're 2 years old, if you're male, female, transgender, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a chat with you because I just like people, right? So you shouldn't be discredited or marked down for being friendly and respectful. And then the pattern starts because that's what we learn. And we're just trying to be the good girl. And maybe that's how we get the attention for being a good girl. And maybe we're not getting attention somewhere else in our life. It's a big gaping hole.
Yeah.
Right? Any of that sound familiar? When did you come to terms with all of that?
No, I come to terms with it all the time because, like I said, a lot of that is blacked out. And then as stuff comes up, I come to terms with it every day. And the way that I process that, because there's that whole therapy style, I think it's IFS or something, where it's, going back and holding space for that different age of yourself. And I spent decades of my life doing the whole, I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine. And so what I had to do to kind of shift that is when I would think back to when a memory would come up of something that happened when I was 13 or 15 or whatever age, I would picture whatever one of my nieces was that age and think about that happening and would that be okay, right? And I'm so tough and it's like I can handle it, it's fine, all of the things, but put one of my nieces that I would kill for in that position and that happening, and you wouldn't be able to stop me. And so why would it be any different that happened to me, right? And so that helped me process that for this version of Anne, the inside Anne, the 15-year-old, the 13-year-old, who you can say you were 13, you were 15, right? And that's really important to hold space for her and say, you know what,
girl.
That's real fucked up. That was real fucked up that happened to you. And we don't have to go back and figure out, should you have been in that position? Should you have said yes? Should you have spoke up? You don't even have to do any of that. That's not important. To me, it's not important in my process. It's holding space for that version of Anne and saying, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I'm sorry that was part of it. But also, I come from this place of, I believe that the messier my story is, the bigger my impact is and my ripple is when I fucking cannonball, right? Because I'm able to have these conversations on
Absolutely.
this couch or in whatever platform, in my books, and whatever my speaking, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Because that is stuff that's messed up and that happened. And also, right, you can hold space for her and say, okay, what are we learning from that? How do we take that and use that as ammunition for your message?
I think you're learning to invite her
Yeah.
into the conversation,
Yeah.
right? So from a therapeutic point of view, it was so beautiful to listen to you say, in those moments when I have those images bubbling back up, so the blackness that you've assigned to a certain, age frame is now gray. And in the gray, it's almost like you can see through the sheer fabric. And so you see images and you know it's there. It made me sad, I will be honest with you, but I thought it was brilliant that you have to assign somebody else's body or face to that image in order to get a real reaction or response from you. I do believe that that's your brain's way, that has been your brain's way of protecting you for years and years and years since those events occurred, right? It's kind of that out of body. We talked about the detachment.
Yeah.
And I have to close it down. This happens to so many people, Anne. Like, I have to close it down in order to protect myself because people don't realize your brain's number one function is to protect you. It is not to remember where your car keys are, to make sure that you show to work up on time, to go to the grocery store because you need food. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Your brain's primary function is to keep you alive and to protect you. It is to remind you to breathe. Why do we all forget that that's really what it's here for? It's to remind you every once in a while that you need to drink some water. And if something really scary has happened in your life, your brain involuntarily, girl, is going to take that image, that movie reel in your head, and it's going to snatch it away from you as quickly as it can. And it's going to put it in a filing cabinet and it's going to lock it up until you're ready.
Yeah.
So you're ready because the images, the veil's being lifted
Yeah.
and the images are now coming. But it was easier for your brain to assign a different person to those images than to you because maybe that's too painful, or maybe because you've detached from the 13-year-old Anne for so long.
Yeah. I think I don't think it detached. So in that, I'm still that person.
Okay.
It just makes me more like age appropriate. It gets me down to where I don't have to feel like I'm tough. I can handle that.
Got
Do you
it.
see what I'm saying? So it's not putting that person there. It's more like age equivalency of, okay, I look at one of my daughters at that age, if I'm looking at a picture or I'm looking at, so it's not putting them in that
So if
situation.
you're in the movie reel from a third person perspective,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? You're not adding any onus onto yourself
Right.
of I should have,
No.
or right here,
No.
what I should have done is sat up and I should have pushed and I should have said, no, thank you, or I have to go now.
Nope.
Right.
No.
Instead, you are an adult looking and going, this is fucked up.
Yeah. But for
This
me,
is wrong.
it's like when you live your whole life, the order of what it is, what your insides are, it's hard to like get to whatever that age is. So when I say that started happening when I was 7, that happened when I was 9, that happened when I was 10, I just am carrying this brain all the way through. And so it's like, okay, well, you try to act like it's not act like, that's not the right word, but you can handle it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, but look at a 7-year-old equivalent of that girl. Or, so if you're looking back at pictures of your daughters and thinking about, okay, I know that's what happened. That's what's coming up for me. I know what happened when I was 12. Here's my daughters when they're 12. Here's my nieces when they're 12. Or here's people that are important to me when we're 12. And then taking that and going, those girls should be worried about like what color they're painting their nails, not how to keep 30-year-old men off of them, right? And that's the shit where it's like, I want to scream from the rooftops to other people that we have to have these conversations.
So what would you tell them though? I mean, knowing where you are in the exact space that you are now with this revelation.
Yeah.
Right? The new Anne, who's now the veil is lifting and you're able to sit with it. What would you scream if you could?
lean into the discomfort as a parent to have those conversations, because I talk to people and they say, sure, we know. And I'm like, okay, tell me the conversations that you guys have talked about.
With your kids, conversations with your
Yes,
kids?
exactly. When you
Okay.
talk to other parents about, like, tell me what that conversation looks like in your house, because I think there's age appropriate ways to have those conversations with any age kids. And I'm talking to people that have 13-year-old girls and they're like, oh yeah, I'm sure they know, whatever. I'm like, what have you guys talked about? And it's like, well, we haven't said anything specifically. You're going to leave that to chance?
I'm sure they know.
Right, exactly. I'm
I
sure they
haven't
know.
told them, but I'm
Right.
sure they know.
Exactly. It's like, to me, that blows my mind. I watched a video the other day, and I've never had a depiction of why I do what I do in a better way. And I'm going to describe it to you. So there's this gal out there, and I think her Instagram handle is Heal with Brit, Britt.
I follow her.
Do you?
Yeah.
Excellent. Did you see the one where she's in colleges speaking, and it says, so it's panning out at the auditorium, and it says, if you know I'm going to get full body chills. If you know someone who has been sexually abused, stand. Literally everyone stands, right? There's a couple people that are still sitting. She goes, okay. If those people, her second question was, if those people reported that, right, stay standing, and if they didn't, that you know of, sit down. 80% of the people, 90% of the people sat down, right? Then she asked the third question, and it said, if that person, the perpetrator, saw justice or there was something that happened, stay standing, everybody else sit down. There was literally only a couple of people that are sitting there, right? That is why my first episode on this podcast was about sexual abuse. That is why I will scream from the rooftops how important this is. That is why I will defend my daughters, my nieces, my son, my nephews, all of the things, and we will have these fucking conversations. And if you don't want to have them, turn them on to a fucking podcast that I do, and then let them come ask. I'm not saying it's comfortable. There's nothing comfortable about saying, hey, these are your privates. You don't let other people touch them. It doesn't matter. We have this conversation. You say no. You use your voice at full volume. Compliance is not consent. Like, all of these different things that we need to say that, because you don't unring that bell, right? We're not going to say, oh, I'm sure they know. Are you crazy? That whole auditorium is either sexually abused or knows someone that's sexually abused, and we're not going to talk about it? That's where we are because we're uncomfortable? Fuck you. Fuck you and your comfort.
We're uncomfortable, but it's not uncomfortable.
Right, are you
to
crazy?
40 years later, be
exactly.
dealing with the internal trauma of
Yeah.
disconnecting from the world.
Do you know what that feels like, to have somebody that's in their 40s commit suicide because they had so much sexual trauma that they never were able to heal from it? You know how fucked up that is?
Or haven't been able to maintain
Right.
a healthy relationship their entire life.
Right. But we don't want to have an uncomfortable
Or don't trust
conversation.
men.
Right. Before the bell gets rung.
Right.
We don't want to do that, or we're not sure
Oh,
what
girl.
the conversation looks like. Has anybody out there heard of this thing called the World Wide fucking Web? If you don't know how to have a conversation with your kids, go in there and say, how do I have a conversation about sexual assault with my children that's age appropriate? Give me some pointers. Give me some tips. We don't do it after the fact. These dads that are like, oh, I'll protect my daughters. Will you? Because I guarantee you probably 90% of them have been fucking diddled by somebody else, if not fucking raped or sexually assaulted in a bigger way than just that. Are you crazy right now? I heard a story from somebody important in my life where it was like, and this is back in the day, generations ago, the uncle fucking molested the young girl. They didn't have a conversation in the family about it. They just moved him to somewhere else, which felt very indicative of fucking Catholicism. Literally, are you crazy? Now I start getting angry. All right, I'm going to bring it right back down.
I love the
Bring
anger.
her back
It's okay,
down.
she needed to release.
I know, but it's just,
She needed to release. And
that's
people
the stuff
need to hear it.
They do, because it's like, who cares if you're uncomfortable? I do uncomfortable shit all day, every day. I lean into discomfort in a way that makes me uncomfortable just even thinking about it.
But am I going to save my discomfort so that my child will be uncomfortable?
Yeah, so that my
Later?
child has dysfunctional
Right?
relationships
Which one
with men.
is more important? I don't care if they're going to go, Mom, I don't want to have this conversation. Ooh, this is gross.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've already heard it. You're
Yeah.
going to hear it again.
Yeah.
And one of two things are going to happen. They're going to roll their eyes. They're going to say, you are so lame.
Yeah.
And they're going to walk away and go, oh,
Right.
seeds planted. Huh. All right. Some of that made sense. Huh. They're going to recall it when they need it.
Yeah.
Or they're going to go, thank God I'm not invisible. She gets it. Like, does she already know that I'm experiencing some of this? One of two things are going to happen.
Yep.
It's going to be awkward.
It's
for
awkward.
10 minutes.
100%. 100% is going to be
10
awkward.
minutes.
And you're going to have to lead with vulnerability, right?
You know what? Going to the gastroenterologist is awkward. Getting a colonoscopy is awkward. Walking into a brand new room of people you don't know, it's awkward. We all move past it for the better.
Yeah.
It's just going to be awkward. That's it.
Whoever told everybody that we're supposed to remain comfortable all the time? I think comfort's a 4-letter word, if you ask me.
Oh.
Right? It's
Which
one thing
is?
to say, it's one thing to say like, oh, I'm comfortable in this couch or like whatever that looks like. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you're comfortable in your job,
Yep.
if you're comfortable in your relationships, if you're comfortable in different things in life, you're missing it. You're fucking missing it.
You're so missing
right?
it.
We're supposed to be up there swinging for the fence. We're supposed to be doing things that make us uncomfortable. We're supposed to be doing things that challenge us. We're supposed to be chasing our highest excitement, right? That's where life is. Everyone else is just waiting to
love
die,
that.
right? Everyone else is just waiting to die. You want to just live in the hamster wheel of mediocrity and just keep numbing? You pick your numb of choice, stuff it down, numb, stuff it down, numb. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
But choose this one.
Yeah.
Choose this one to be uncomfortable
Yeah,
about.
100%.
Because it's important enough.
Yeah.
For males and females. This
100%.
isn't just a female topic.
No.
Right? I mean, I'm at the age now where I'm talking to so many moms, and I'm a boy mom. So I'm very conflicted on both sides, right? Half the time we're telling our boys, like, if you go in for a hug, you need to ask her first, because if you don't, she could go home and make a comment and, somebody's going to show up at our door. I have moms that are telling that are telling their sons, like, before you put your hand on her knee, you need to say, is it okay if I put my hand on your knee now? And I love that. But we now are creating a huge disconnect, right? So the conversations aren't just for young girls.
Yeah.
It's also for men.
Yeah,
Watch how you treat
absolutely.
women. Be appropriate.
Right.
Know that there are some, and you and I, this is another topic, girl, because we do not have time right now.
Yeah.
But we do know that there are a few bad eggs out there, females, that will cry wolf or
100%.
use sexual inappropriateness for their own title or their own posting, and that is just a mind fuck to the whole system.
It totally is. It totally is.
That just calls the whole system into question.
Yeah.
And those that have been victimized now are not being listened to, which has happened for generations and generations.
Yeah.
And young men are afraid to even hold hands with a girl
Right.
anymore.
Well, they can't even understand. I've talked to Cameron about this, and it's like when I tell him we were raised to not use our voice. Yeah. So when men come and hug or, say inappropriate stuff, we were raised to and programmed and conditioned to laugh, make certain that it's not uncomfortable for them, instead of saying, dude, gross, I'm fucking 15, don't talk to me like that.
Right.
That's all it takes, though.
Yep.
If you educate, our young people, that's all it takes is like, bro, age appropriate. Like, no.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a whole big thing. We don't have to burn anybody down. But we can absolutely use our
We don't have
voice.
to call any bosses.
Absolutely.
We just need to put him in his place.
We need to stand on
right?
business and put him, absolutely. But if we weren't raised to do that, right, then they don't even understand. So they don't think they're doing anything wrong. And from the outside, they're not. Because if you didn't say no, right, but we were raised to not say no. We were raised to be good girls and to be compliant.
I will say, though, some men were also raised
100%.
to believe that
100%.
women love the attention,
Yeah.
that they love a whistle,
Yeah.
that you're doing her a favor, that you're setting her up for a good day. And some women like a whistle. Some women
Which is
will
why
turn
you
around
have
and
to
go,
use
fuck you.
Which is why you have to use your voice,
Yeah.
and we're supposed to say fuck you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the whole thing. So
Right.
it's like there's this balance of figuring out how to use your voice and speak your truth, and that's what we have to be teaching our young
let's not
ones.
be afraid of
no
it.
matter if it's boys or girls, because boys are sexually assaulted. Just
yes, they are.
that's I mean. When I say use boys and girls in all of this, just so all the listeners
Yeah.
know, I mean everybody, right? It happens on all sides from all things.
Yep.
So it's like, but let's get uncomfortable. Let's have the conversations. This is a big fucking problem. It's not going to go away by continuing to push it under the rug.
So I have one piece of advice for
Yes.
anybody who's listening specifically about this topic or just in general. I had an amazing mentor out of Atlanta and who sat me down during dinner one time, and I brought this big topic to him. I'm sure it was about a career change. I didn't know what to do. I was really at odds. I was really very confused. And I said, Stuart, I don't know how to proceed. And he just looked at me and he's like, yes, you do. I was like, no, I really don't. Like, I could hurt a lot of people here. Maybe I'm not worth this growth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can just sit with it. And he's like, the little girl inside of your gut knows what to do, Jill. And I had no concept of what he was talking about, Anne. And I said, excuse me? And he said, I believe that everybody has a 6-year-old in their gut.
I believe that.
And that 6-year-old doesn't know how to lie. It doesn't understand deceit. It only knows the truth. And she is talking to you and she is telling you exactly what you need to do. Just listen to the little girl. I've never done it differently since then.
I agree with you. And the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up because mine is the 8-year-old girl. And what I equate that to is the point where before the loss of your innocence, tap back into that little girl, because that little girl doesn't lie and that little girl knows exactly. And so I try to stay connected with her. I try to live my whole entire life from that perspective, from that awe and wonder and honesty and curiosity, because I believe that that's exactly where it's at.
Yes, girl.
Thank you, Jill, for coming today and speaking with me.
It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you for the raw and open conversation. I love that Jill goes, it's been fun. She's a therapist. Yeah, she's like, oh, you want to display
Bring it
yourself
on.
open for human consumption? Yes, this is fun. We're going to have lunch afterwards. It's going to be great. That's our time for today. So if something stirred or lit a fire under you and you've got thoughts, questions, or a story you're ready to share, slide into our DMs or email us at ladies@letsgetnakedpodcast.com. If you believe in these conversations, help us keep them rolling. Follow, share, rate, review, do all the things. We will catch you next time. That's a wrap.